Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I just got a notification from YouTube saying that this idiot Gary Mill is in Clubhouse. So I searched it, and yeah, he is. And he's not a mod, but I've been restraining myself to go live and trying to go into to join, just in case he's got mod powers, right? But I don't know if this is working properly. I will try to join in, right? So let me switch transition. Right, what you're looking now is my live Club Deck PC program, right? So let me see now if I can join, and the desktop audio is okay. So in theory, we should hear people talking when I join. Okay, so let's do that.
Every religious person has
right, it is working.
Doctrine. Every atheist
it is working.
Has a different doctrine. So this title was tongue-in-cheek because even atheists are full of shit. Everyone is full of shit.
Include
We're all
Darth Dawkins.
Not designed to know the truth, to understand the truth.
Then you can't say that.
And I'm going to say designed by who? We're designed by evolution.
Well, wait a minute. If everybody's full of shit, then what you just said is full of shit.
Hey, Alfonso.
At the end of the day,
Alfonso.
Let me finish my statement. At the end of the day, if what I say becomes dogma, right? If anything I say
John Lee also
a doctrine that is immutable, like thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not have any gods before me, thou shalt not ... then that's when it becomes bullshit. The moment I'm talking in a dynamic universe with a modern contemporary knowledge of what I know and what the people around me know, and I'm willing to change my point of view and understand different perspectives, it's not bullshit.
How can I join here?
What I'm talking about is it's good to wash our brains from dogma and doctrine, because that can take you down very dangerous rabbit holes. And atheists and scientists and everyone can be a victim to this.
But you see, you have no ultimate or absolute.
Shut up.
To appeal to say that something is dangerous. You're contradicting.
Alfonso, can you please continue your perspective on the title? Also, I would like to hear Firdaus, and I would appreciate if people just don't jump in and interrupt you, because I'm not interested in what they're saying. I just want to hear you and Firdaus's perspective on the title of the room, so we can have a kind of a proper discussions. Go ahead, Alfonso.
Yeah, I think I explained myself. Basically, to wash our brains.
Right, I raised my hand to see if I can join in.
It can be very toxic. We've evolved religion.
Darth Dawkins did not want to be in my Clubhouse, not in my own environment. And I think Alfonso is an atheist, so it should be interesting.
That have very well discarded 99% of what religion claimed to be true, and the explanation.
Oh, let me put my YouTube chat box, because otherwise I haven't got a freaking clue who's saying what.
So quickly, shortly, Ali, I think you noticed the word proper in before the word brainwash. So as we all know, brainwash has certain negative connotation with it. So Alfonso's intention was this brainwashing itself is to get rid of dogmas and whatnot, thereby making it a proper brainwash.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a pretty interesting discussion in terms of understanding what path we have followed in our past to get to the point that we are in terms of being a believer.
Hi, Scott. I will try. Seriously, I will definitely try.
Definitely not.
But let me put first my chat underneath my BS logo.
About these things.
So I will do that like on the spot.
That a good portion of people, about 70% of people on the face of the earth, they do believe in some form of kind of Abrahamic, religion. So it's a substantial kind of issue to be kind of discussed. And I've been always amazed by, and how come,
Right,
why
I've got
this
the
is the
chat.
case. And so it's
I'm
good to
fixing
kind
it
of
now.
think about, or how did we get to this point that we are? And we're so passionate about it. And I think I would be probably more religious people are more compelled and feel really a total obligation to defend their case, and as if they want talk
That
about
won't
their belief
work.
system
Why?
and trying to
Oh,
defend it
I'm doing it in
somehow,
the wrong
either
place.
kind of
Cut.
proving the nature of
Cut.
God or the concept of God
Cut.
existing
Cut.
through
Cut.
logic
I'm doing
and
it wrong way.
science. And I they make
In
a
the wrong
good
place.
effort, and
Oh, here.
so it seems to me it's a good way to kind of think about like myself. I really have never been on kind of any kind of a spiritual path, but certainly I have just kind of made a point to be a curious person, read,
Paste as duplicate,
understand various concepts.
and in camera, I will delete it.
Realms, in physics, mathematics, psychology, and including religion, because it's such an important kind of concept, as I mentioned.
Right. So presentation area, Agi like that. Right. Now we got it. Now we got it. Now we got it.
And I'm not saying completely black and white, but some people, for example, they read the good books and they listen to the rabbi and priests and the
now I'm on.
And then they go to the church and mosques and the synagogues, and they give kind of a foundation in terms of the formed belief system, and they may not reach out to kind of investigate this concept. And
it should not be listened because I've got myself muted. Correct? Correct.
Via the good
so I cannot. If I engage the mic, I cannot talk. Right?
Religions. But a chap like me, I'm not completely happy with that. I just have to really investigate on my own the best I can. And it's a wonderful kind of place to go and learn, about the logic, science, philosophy, different ways of thinking. So I constantly like to kind of challenge myself. And so anyway, I think so in a sense, you can, I kind of liked kind of the phrasing proper brainwash. The first proper being kind of with good connotation, and the brainwash being a negative connotation. So it's kind of a good sweet and sour kind of mix, which I appreciate. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about my own path and to get where I am right now. And anyway, thank you for the room. Looks like a wonderful discussion here.
Ali, respect.
So quickly, just one short question, Ali. So whatever you've been saying, let's say for the last 3-4 minutes, to make sense out of it, for me to comprehend it or attach meaning to it, do you think it's necessary for me to believe in an absolute?
Yeah, I honestly, just from personal perspective, I have never found a reason or even a need.
He should know that I'm here already. That's for sure.
For any kind of supernatural
that is for sure.
Domains. I've been able to find kind of reasons for the.
Just Scott, do you think that the chat, the Clubhouse audio is coming through?
And I can see why people, they have the need to reach out for the supernatural kind of perspectives.
He didn't ask you about that. He said an absolute.
Darth, I would.
Don't interrupt.
I would like you to stay quiet because I have a discussion with Darth. So you need to kind of follow the rules in here. So it seems to me that I've never been able to kind of reach out to anything like that. I just don't see a need or necessary to do it.
Roger that.
Every time I've done that, certainly I found things becoming quickly very, very complicated. The concept of evil,
I fucked up the last time.
To think about, once you introduce God and Satan and the rest of it into it, it becomes hugely complicated. But if you look at it, again, I'm just picking up an example to make a point. Concept of evil, it's really, you can call it evil. By the way, I don't think I like to even call it an evil, because once you call it evil, somehow it has this connotation of a supernatural kind of domain. So evil happens because of, for example, geological and climatic kind of events, cause, devastations. People
I will
do
try.
bad
I know
things because they're
Alfonso Ugarte
psychologically,
speaks Spanish.
emotionally are not well. The concept of, humans are being, kind of greedy, selfish, not all the time, but that's certainly, that explains why bad things happen. And the theory of, germs, and why people get sick. So the concept of evil, for me at least, is more kind of easily addressed, less complicated, fairly clear without reaching out to the, the original sin and Satan and the rest of it, which really is it's just confusing for me. Firdaus, I hope I answered your question the best I could.
You didn't. He asked you about an absolute.
So at this point, I think it's a fairly small room. Whatever you guys want to do, PTR, popcorn, jump out.
Ashkan, yeah, I'll pass it to Ashkan. You wanted to say?
Yeah. So am I audible? Is my voice fine?
Nope.
No, you're in the matrix.
It's robot.
Okay.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. So I think we've so I'm going to keep it as short as I can, but also relevant specifically to what Darth is looking for, because I think his focus is slightly different. So I'm going to
Oh yes, I mean,
a really short
the only thing I have to do, I'm already inside their chat. I have to disable the mic, right here. I disable the mic, and I will be in automatically.
If you
so yes,
have an absolute that can impose a structure on the whole world, okay, on the whole existence.
But if I take my mic on make it live, I cannot speak on my live chat because otherwise the people in the chat will hear it at the same time.
Continuous, what's not continuous, you run into trouble. What's the trouble? What's the problem? Well, the problem is you cannot account for things like unity or diversity that we see in the unity and so on. So how are you going to do that without an absolute? So far so good, Darth. Am I getting that right?
You're doing a pretty good job of it.
Okay, so what we have here seems to be a case where argument first approach is collapsing. What do I mean by that? There seems to be an axiom that has been presupposed by Darth. And
no,
that axiom
I'm not proposing
is,
an axiom.
I understand. I'm trying to make a parallel case to come to your side. We will leave the axiom out. So what I'm basically saying is that he has a previous commitment. What is the previous commitment? He has a commitment to the absolute, okay? That absolute can account for the kind of things that he has in mind, okay? The continuity, unity, diversity, the source of ultimate, and the things like that, okay? So the best way to approach him, I think, is on the level of theory selection, not argument first approaches, but theory first approaches. So what we need to do to address his concerns is to offer a rival theory that has an absolute, that can generate and can be the ultimate source of possibility, contingent, and so on. So at the level of theory, what is the other theory that we can give? Well, there is one theory which I quite like. The theory goes like this. I will explain the theory quite shortly, and then I will pause because I want to hear what Darth has to say. So I'm trying to do my best here. So let's take one word, okay, like the actual word, and let's suppose, for we don't know, but let's suppose that we know that it had a beginning, okay. Now the initial conditions for this picture of naturalism that I am offering will be necessary, okay. Now if there are other words like a multiverse or something, we said there isn't for our purposes. We suppose that this was this only universe and had a beginning. But just imagine this wasn't the case, okay? Well, those other words will also share their initial conditions. Every word has this initial condition shared with other words, other possible words. So they will be necessary too. Now, objective chance is involved in how these words are evolved, okay? If you have different possible words or just one possible word. And that objective chance is what gives you when the word is initially in its initial stages, it's necessary, but after that, as it develops, as it evolves, objective chance becomes involved and gets involved, and you have contingent and necessary. The necessity that you have is rooted in the necessity of each word having necessary initial conditions, and you get your contingent stuff because of objective chance.
Very intelligent.
Involved.
Very
so
intelligent.
What is the ultimate source of possibilities? Well, it's the initial condition. Okay, the initial condition gives you what's necessary and what's not. So that's one point. Another thing that he is asking is the unity. Okay, so I'm a nominalist. Okay, so I don't think that I would go for the kind of diversity he has in mind, which is fine. We can disagree on nominalism and not, but there is unity, right? There is unity, and the unity is just so the unity and the continuity is imposed by the initial conditions. The initial conditions get things moving in each possible word, and then you have the unity. Now, what the diversity comes in here is diversity just means that you can point to stuff and count them. Okay, so that's okay. So I will close here what I have had to say and leave it off because I want to hear what Darth has to say, because he wasn't
desperate.
engaged. So I am trying to engage him a bit more here. So Darth, could you say a few things, and I will say a few things, and then I will stop because others also want to join me.
What was specifically your absolute that makes
Yeah.
God as the absolute unnecessary?
The causal reality in the initial conditions of each possible
Okay,
word.
initial conditions. I don't know what that means. What is that?
But that's your ignorance talking, Daft Dawkins.
I left this open, remember? I
Right.
said if we have
He's not mentioning any God.
Word and it had a beginning, I'm calling the conditions for it beginning to exist, the initial conditions.
I don't think you're understanding my question. Okay. What is it specifically, singularly, that is the absolute that is not God?
Natural causal reality.
Right.
Okay, that's a non-informative answer.
But that's false, you see.
That's a non-informative answer because
I understand why you say
you're now appealing. I'm trying to explain to you why it's non-informative, okay? I said what, you have to focus on my words. What singularly is the absolute that is not God? You're responding by an appeal to a plurality. Okay?
There is no plurality for the nominalist. You see, that's
okay.
the disagreement.
Sir, is there a single absolute that is not God, from which all things derive and depend in terms of what is, can be, and cannot be?
Yes, the natural causal reality.
Okay, see, you're appealing to a plurality?
No, that's where we get wrong. I understand
so
where
you're
coming from.
One second.
That is singular. Is that correct?
Why is it, Ashkim, that you think the singular cause of reality is different?
Either you're going to appeal to the absolute as being singular,
let me hear Darth talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you appealing? Are you invoking?
I said I understand.
Okay. Are you invoking?
So,
I'm trying to clarify so you understand. Are you invoking an absolute, a single absolute that is not God, or not?
Yes. So the single absolute that I am proposing is natural causal reality.
Okay. What is that?
So, as I said, your worldview that accounts for ultimate possibility and necessity has the absolute as God. That's one theory.
Well, I'm asking you what your absolute is. What is that?
Yes. Now, in my theory, what the absolute is natural causal reality.
Oh, you're not asserting that it's the case then?
Of course I am. So let me tell you why I am asserting this.
Okay,
So
so
the
then it's
reason I
not a
am
theory.
so no. By theory, I just mean that you have a worldview of take you. I'm using the vocabulary of Graham Oppie, but you can't say the worldview, okay? If you're because I understand that theory has
Okay.
connotations. So let's say
Is there one thing that's absolute?
Yes, I said that. The causal reality in
Okay,
each
causal
word is the
reality.
one
What is that?
So, okay, that's a good question.
The
So,
word reality. Hold on a second. The
yeah.
word reality is a term of abstraction. It refers to the set.
So I'm a nominalist.
Man, let me finish. Okay, when you say reality, right? Reality refers to the set of all real things. That set is an abstraction of concrete particulars. Okay? So
So
when you
that's correct.
use
That's
would you
correct.
not interrupt me, please? When you use the word reality, are you referring to a concrete particular, or are you referring to an abstract particular, which is a set of concrete particulars?
So there are no abstract stuff when we're talking about the natural reality, and I'm a nominalist. So
You're
we're
not
talking about
understanding me.
something.
Okay.
So
When you
let
use the
me.
word reality, does it refer to a concrete particular, or is it referring to a plurality of things?
So that's what I'm trying to explain. But each time I want to explain, you jump in. It
It's a
either
simple
could be a
question.
particular, I understand, but the answer is a bit complicated. Remember,
Is it a
I left
concrete one?
open, okay, I left open, remember, whether this is the only possible word or not. So if this is the only possible word, then yes, it would be a particular. If not, then it won't be a particular. Now,
You're
the
not
thing
addressing my
is,
question.
I am directly addressing it.
Is
So
reality a concrete one?
it's concrete. Of course, it's concrete.
No,
What did I
listen.
say?
You're not. You're not responding to the question. Is reality, when you use that term, does it
Hmm.
refer to a concrete one, as opposed to a plurality of concrete things?
Yes, of course.
What is the concrete one? If reality is a
Then
concrete one, you no longer have
natural
a plural.
causal reality.
All right, listen to me carefully. I think you're
Listen to me
not
carefully.
understanding. If reality, the set of all real things, is a concrete one, there cannot be a plurality of things.
Wrong.
Otherwise, reality would have to refer to an abstract set of
But that's wrong.
concrete.
Is
May I
wrong.
finish, please? Let me explain this to you. Okay, no, I'm not wrong. Okay,
You are wrong.
reality either refers to one thing that is a concrete one, or it's referring to an abstract one. The abstract one refers to two or more concrete particulars. So which is it?
So I said single particular thing, concrete thing. Okay. So
Okay, so
why
reality is
I
a
think allow me to explain a bit. I think Darth is supposing a kind of non-nominalist approach. Okay, so and he's getting the order of explanation wrong.
you're not
The
addressing my
set,
question.
I am, but this is a build-up that is necessary to it. The order of explanation is that the single member explains the singleton set, not the other way around.
You're not
Okay,
understanding this.
so
If
so the
something is a
reason so the reason that this something is concrete, this natural causal reality, is the specific thing which is concrete, explains the set, the single set of what's real, not the other way around.
you're
The
not
single
understanding.
set does not explain the universe,
Are
the
you even
existence of the
attempting to
universe.
understand him, Darth? Can you just shut up and let other people talk?
No, Emily, please don't do this. So
No,
because
I'm
Yeah, he's
I've
not
he's
so
understanding.
obnoxious. He's jumping in and
I've
interrupting me every
listened.
5 seconds.
I've listened previously to Darth. Okay, so and
And do you
I
do you
understand.
honestly think he's going to listen to you? Because it
No,
doesn't sound like he's going to listen to
but I'm
anybody.
not. But I cannot project my own understanding to him. Okay, so I am trying to be fair. I understand where you're coming from, Emily, and I'm really suspicious of him. Okay, so the only reason I'm trying to do that is because I'm trying to get it across. Okay, that what he wants in order for him to be successful, is an argument first approach. Okay. And the other area that we can approach is worldview selection. It's called within philosophical literature theory selection.
You're not
Now,
addressing my question.
so I am getting to.
No, you haven't.
So
This whole
we
time
can.
you haven't addressed it.
Ashkan,
Yes,
do you
I
accept
this
Jesus
is the
Christ,
time
your
that
Lord and Savior?
this is the last time that I want to address
Shall I
your
repeat the
question
question?
directly. No,
Shall I
I
repeat
want
the
to.
question?
No,
Okay,
I
all
want
ask
to.
you is, the
I don't
question
need
was,
repetition. I'm going to address you specifically right now. So, just specifically right now, there is one theory, one worldview that Darth has, okay, that has one single absolute entity, call it X, call it God, doesn't matter what it is, okay? That is the source of all that is possible, contingent, continuous, or not non-continuous, and so on. Now, if we can offer another theory that subsumes all of this, then we don't need the theory that Darth is saying.
yeah. Okay,
This
I'd
means,
like an answer to my question.
This means that once we list two worldviews next to each other, Darth worldview and my worldview,
Can you answer my question, please?
the answer to Darth question falls out. Why should you prefer my worldview is exactly the same as Darth. Darth has one single absolute which
Okay, you're not answering my question. I asked you a question.
But I am answering. If you
No,
just
you're not.
For just 1 minute, I am getting to your answer. If you list
After 20 minutes?
No,
Oh my God,
just
how
2
long do
minutes,
you
and then
talk,
I will
Darth?
stop. Just 2 minutes, and I will stop. Okay.
I asked you a simple question: is reality a concrete?
So I will continue. When you list all the things that is inside the worldview of Darth, has one single absolute in it. When you list all the things that is inside my own worldview, it has one single it. Okay, so Darth has one single absolute, which is God. I have one, which is the natural cause of reality. So why am I saying you should prefer my worldview? Well, because my worldview is simpler than Darth. Okay, why is it simpler? Because my necessary and absolute being is contained within natural causal reality. But Darth, when he wants to enter an absolute, he has to make it qualitatively and quantitatively more complex. Okay, so when we have
you're just channeling Graham Oppie at this point, aren't you?
That is correct. Why am I doing this, Darth?
That's not an answer to my question.
I understand that's not an answer to your question in the sense that it's not argument first.
Not an
That's where you go wrong. The answer
you're completely ignoring my question.
I'm answering your question head on and leaving right now.
You haven't so far.
Why am I correct? Because if my worldview is the correct worldview and can account for everything, so for sources of possibility and for sources of contingency and so on, you don't need to presuppose the X
you
that
haven't
Darth
addressed my question
Dawkins
the whole
is
time.
talking about. Which means,
Oh,
if you do not need,
he ran away.
If you do not need, I know why he runs.
He ran away, the coward.
I know why that happens, because when he was talking to Graham Oppie, the same thing happened. Okay, so let me explain to you what is happening. If Darth Dawkins cannot, so Darth needs to presuppose, okay, the existence of one absolute. But when we give another theory that has another absolute in and of itself, that does everything else that God is doing, okay? So God is grounding necessary, possibility, differentiating between contingent and necessary, okay? And things like that. Now, if we have another theory that can explain all of these things, then we don't need to presuppose the X that was necessary for Darth Dawkins. So why was Darth Dawkins wrong? Because we don't need the X that he's presupposing we need to explain reality.
Ashkan,
So why are we... Go ahead.
With all due respect, I don't think the reason that Darth left the room is because of that. I think he left the room because he's a
Guys,
statistical
I
dickhead.
moved him to the audience. He didn't leave.
Oh, well, anyway,
then
good move, Alfonso.
then so the
Okay.
reason I wanted to talk here first is that thank you, Alfonso, and others for making this possible. And another thing that I want to say is that the reason that he said, you're not addressing my question, you're not addressing my question, you're not addressing my question, is because his approach is argument first. And I don't think that approach is successful. If you want to get an answer to what's the ultimate source, all you can do is to compare theories. That's all the best you can do. You can't go to argument first, because
What
it
do you
doesn't
mean
matter
by
what kind.
argument first? Sorry,
So,
I don't
so
understand.
argument first means that, let's say I'm Darth, okay? I believe in Jesus or something. Now that's my absolute necessary. So every time you want to give me a reason for something else that is necessary, I will say, oh no, but that's not necessary or ultimate. So it doesn't matter what kind of reasoning you give me, I cannot accept this, because for me, the ultimate is Jesus or God, okay? So we don't get anywhere if we go with reasoning. So Oppie suggests to step back from reasoning and instead ask this question. You have this one thing which is necessary, call it God or something, and is doing everything you want, right? You're not listening to my reasoning. My reasoning is not satisfying you. Am I correct? And he says, yes, your reasoning is not correct. You're not helping me. So Oppie says, okay, let go of reasoning. Let's compare what we can give, what kind of worldview we can offer that gives us a grounding and understanding of what's ultimate, what's necessary and what's sufficient, what's possible and what's necessary, what's continuous and what's non-continuous, and just compare what it is that for the theist, for Darth, for example, explains the source of all possibility and not possible, and for the naturalist or for the atheist, what's possible and what's necessary, what's the ultimate, what's ultimate there. And if we have a candidate, the atheist has, which is natural causal reality, then we have one thing, which is absolute, the natural causal reality. Why should we abandon our view that this is the necessity, the single necessity, and move to another worldview? Now, here we cannot go back to reasoning like, okay, this identity or time or things like that. Why? Because they are reason first. We need to ask about worldview. Is the worldview simpler or not? The worldview that Darth is identifying. Is it more informative or
But
not?
isn't that just reasoning, like figuring out which
It is.
worldview is simpler?
It is. That is correct. But the difference is that you can only reason when you're trying to reason between worldviews based on the things that you are agreed upon. Okay. So, for example, if I say to Darth Dawkins, "Look, there is gratuitous evil, horrific evil that the naturalist better explains." Okay. For example, this is just an example. I'm not saying this is correct. That's not so obviously Darth will not accept the existence of gratuitous suffering, right? So this cannot be part of our argument for worldview selection. The only stuff that can be part of our argument for worldview selection are the things about which we agree. So when I say the abstraction or the things like that that Darth Dawkins talks about, we disagree about these things. These cannot be the mark of the things for worldview selections because we disagree. So that's the difference, you see. When we talk about worldview selection, we only allow for things that we agree on and we compare those things. So, for example, a really concrete example, regardless of revelations being true or false, okay, regardless of Jesus returning back from the death or not, something happened. That we know that something happened. Okay, we have reports of what happened. That's what we both agree upon. Now, that's what we have to explain. Does the fact that we agree upon that something happened, we have reports of what happened. So, which worldview explains this best? The theistic worldview or the atheistic worldview? If someone comes and says, "Oh well, God is all powerful and He can do anything," well, that's not part of the agreement. The agreement is just the reports that we have. So, if you want to have an ultimate source of what's necessary and to choose the best one that is ultimately necessary, the ultimate source of what's necessary and what is the right one is the one that can explain the agreement, the data for the agreement.
I
Not
don't think
not the
that will. I don't think that will satisfy any theist, or well, maybe atheist,
So,
but
so
not.
let me
But
just
not
give two
God.
examples of theists. That's correct, but then that just means that Darth is wrong to think about this argument first approach only. I will give two examples of theists who use this style of argumentation, and then I will stop talking because I've been talking for a long time. One is uh, Kenny Pierce. Okay, Kenny Pierce has a recent book with Graham Oppy, and he's a theist, really intelligent theist. Okay, read his works. He's really great. And another one is Richard Swinburne, and I love Richard Swinburne also. So yeah, of course we're not going to convince Darth, but why should we convince Darth or anyone else?
Well,
That's not our job, right?
you were trying to have a civil conversation with him, but he doesn't seem to be capable of having a civil conversation with anybody unless they agree with him 100%.
That's true, but the only thing that perhaps the only good thing that came out of this is to see that there is a naturalistic and atheistic alternative worldview that has one single absolute, and it's not supernatural. That's all I wanted to get
Well,
across.
but I don't think that you did say that convincingly. I don't think saying, well, things just happened and that's it, and that's our worldview, like that's not really that
But
compelling either.
sure, but things just don't happen. Things happen out of necessity, right? Because the initial condition is necessary.
But do
So
you
the
know the
law,
initial condition?
no, I said it's metaphysical, right? So either there is one possible word or multiple possible words. If the theist says, I've left that open, if the theist says, look, the universe had a beginning, well, I will say, well, okay, then the initial conditions of that beginning are necessary. And if he says, no, the universe didn't have a beginning, it's just universe after universe, but God is sustaining all of them. Well, then I say, okay, then all of these universes upon universes upon universes all have their initial singularities overlapping. So they are all necessary. Okay, so why are these things happening? Well, because causal reality is necessary, then it follows that natural laws are necessary. So things aren't
but
just
but the thing
happening.
is
So,
you can't answer why or how they're necessary. Like that's the
So the
problem.
so the reason they are
Like Darth has a
necessary.
worldview and he's come up with an explanation, and I don't buy his
So
explanation, but I also
so
don't
the
buy the
reason
explanation that there is no explanation.
so
so
Emily,
I
let me,
understand, but
uh,
there is an explanation, right? The explanation is necessity. If the grounding is causal reality and causal reality is necessary, then things that are happening from it follows that they will be within the natural laws will be necessary. So natural laws can tell us why is something happening as opposed to another. Go
so
ahead, Ali.
Emily, I think you're making a good point. I think one way also to address this, let's just take a specific kind of example that we now kind of substantially think or believe that the Big Bang is the original cause. What we can say, the science says, look, my physics and mathematics, my understanding of the cosmos takes me to that point. And beyond that, I am not sure how the initial conditions kind of formed, constructed, or came about, whether you're talking about the contracting universe or expanding universe, different, or multiverses. Basically, what the science says, we don't know because our knowledge kind of ends at that point. Give us some time. perhaps you can go ahead and find out even more. Even this way of thinking does not kind of free you from the infinite regression in terms of now we need to look beyond the time -1, -2, and so on. But at least there is a story to be told, a fairly strong, robust. You can connect all of the dots to see how we got from looking at the solar system, at our galaxy, and looking at and coming up with the Hubble law, and then kind of predicting, going back to the black hole. So I'm sorry, to the Big Bang. So
Sure, you're
again,
right, Ali, but don't you think these are epistemic? So I of course leave the epistemic domain to science, but for the metaphysic, I'm just employing metaphysics.
yeah. Point is well taken. I think I just wanted to kind of
I understand.
giving Emily kind of, or just kind of a way of thinking, a kind of a point that, and that's what science, science again, as we all know, it's a kind of it's an ongoing endeavor, and with lots of mistakes, a lot of progress, 2 steps back, one step forward. So I think we can kind of end at the point. Again, I just gave an example for Big Bang concept. So Emily, I think your what you're saying is valid, and anybody could ask that. But then again, when you go back to the theory of God, the story is fairly kind of confined, limited, narrow in terms of, as I mentioned before, a whole bunch of books, text, which is I don't want to go into it right now, but
I
and
I understand where you're coming from,
yeah,
and I
right,
understand where most atheists are coming from. I'm a scientist as well. I'm not an atheist, but I'm not a theist either. Um, but I think, like, ultimately you get to the Big Bang and you don't really know where to go from there. So at that point, you're an agnostic.
Mhm.
Like, probably the Bible isn't correct because, like you said, it seems narrow and limited. But you also don't know what else might be true of
Emily, can
of
I ask
of
you a
the
question?
purpose,
Can I
or
ask you a
or
question?
why there is instead of there isn't.
yeah. So Emily, let me just kind of summarize what I was trying to say. The religious stories are fairly poor. They are basically a whole bunch of inconsistent text. Again, I'm not saying anything in here that everybody knows what I'm talking about. So it's a fairly kind of pedestrian, story about the creation. And then, of course, it's been propagated by the propagators of this kind of a story. And however, that is fairly poor reasoning in comparison to the story that science has to say. I mean, there's a vast. It's a cosmic kind of difference between where we are here with science story and the kind of the Abrahamic kind of stories. That's kind of the only point that I wanted to make. And I want to say one last thing, then I'll just go on mute. One is, it's stunning to me that at the level that religious people use the logic, philosophy, and science to prove the concept of God. And I mean, I would have probably a lot more respect for someone who would come in and say, look, this is my faith, this is what I believe. So in a sense, if you reach out so desperately to those 3 elements that I talked about, then what would be the value of faith? So we see these desperate kind of attempts by sometimes competent people actually on the Clubhouse, and they're trying to use those 3 kind of way of thinking to arrive at the concepts of God, and it kind of surprises me every time.
Well, I agree with you that I don't think there's any need to justify one's faith. They can have faith in whatever they want, and they might be right, likely not, likely none of us are. I do agree with Alfonso on that. um, I, I don't think we are capable of understanding the fundamental nature of reality because I think it's beyond us, but that remains to be seen. But
Okay,
anyway.
so I want to say thank you and then move to audience. So thank you, Emily, Alfonso, and others. Also, just one thing, Emily, maybe you want to, maybe this interests you. I have no idea, genuinely. But there is a book called The Best Argument Against God by Graham Oppy. Do have a look on into this book. I think you love it. So yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Okay. Did you want me to stop talking?
No, I am stopping. I'm moving to the audience.
Okay. Well, I guess if somebody else wants to speak, they can. Or I can ask you a question. Oh, he left. All right. Oh, he was moving himself to the audience. Oh, I didn't understand. Okay.
With this guy, may I?
Yeah, I think Ashkan moved himself to the audience. So now I guess it's whoever wants to speak.
Yeah, there is a couple of things. One is what Gary, Daft Hawkins wanted to put across, which is all based on deception. He's actually weaponizing philosophy, right? And following a particular script that he has learned from Van Til and his master Bunsen, right? So he's not there to preach the gospel, but rather be confrontative.
Sorry, you cut out, Oscar. For me, anyway.
How much did I cut out?
I think about 20 to 30 seconds.
Okay.
I did
Well,
hear. I think I heard everything you said. Something about Dart Dawkins weaponizing and not evangelizing.
Yeah, that's the last I heard.
right. So basically, he's actually using philosophy as a means to disrupt his lack of knowledge on his belief system or his God system, because he knows that he cannot prove it, right? Making a lot of fallacies, mainly the circular one, vicious or not vicious, still circular, right? And he's trying to convince via pressure, right? Being confrontational, argumentative, and he's no more community college lecture that he does and mumbling and whatnot. Yeah, so basically he's not per se honest. He's just driven to be argumentative. When have you heard him being polite to anybody without
Well,
yeah, go on.
he isn't, and I back channeled Alfonso and to ask him why he was letting this person continue to be on stage when all he was doing was not listening and being abusive.
Right.
Because that's really all he does. He doesn't have a valid argument to offer. He's just trying to assert dominance or control for, I don't know, probably some deep internal sense of insecurity that's, specific to him. I don't think all theists are like him. I've
No.
spoken to plenty of theists who are perfectly reasonable human beings.
I mean, those are Alfonso's favorite, Emily. If you have known Alfonso for a while, he loves to go with these people that are difficult to engage with.
But we have noticed a theme with him in the sense of when he cannot, I rephrase it. When he's not a mod, or he has not got a mod, nor he can control a mod, he probably 10 out of 10 he leaves.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know why people keeps why do you guys think that is worth, I mean, maybe it is a morbid kind of thing, right? Talking about our Dawkins, but I really don't find him interested or
Well, there is a challenge there, right? Like if someone has, first of all, I think it's philosophy is bankrupt. Like you can't, I can't presuppose for the other person. That violates, Wittgenstein's idea of presuppositions, like the whole, like if I tell you my helicopter ran out of gas, like it's up to you to accept that I have a helicopter or not, to accept that presupposition. And if you have a presupposition that both parties don't agree on, you're already not talking about the same thing. And so, but I think to your point, there's a challenge there that if someone presupposes so much, and you are confident in your ability to debate or your ability to challenge that um, position, and you're dealing with someone who is as abrasive and really pinheaded as that person, then you have a challenge that they try to, it's like trying to make a good point land, and defeat that is what is appealing, right?
Yeah, but to me, it's like trying to get a pit bull that's been trained to murder anybody in its path to be nice to you. Like
Oh,
it's
me too. Yeah, I agree. I
I
don't
think
do it,
it's
but
pointless with him.
yeah. Well, I think his position is just um, weak. I mean, the presuppositional argument is just it's an affirming the consequent fallacy in its design. If your worldview doesn't account for it, then mine wins, and that just isn't how logic works. There's all other possibilities to be considered.
Yeah, it was what was the question he was demanding to be answered? Is your reality, is it a plurality or is it a single thing? It's like, what difference does it make? I'm not a philosopher, so I don't know what he was getting at. Maybe he was getting at something philosophical that I don't know, but it didn't seem to make a lot of sense or be particularly relevant.
He's trying to be dishonest. What he's trying to do is point to spearhead towards the God, the unity, the single one, right? And when Askan was talking about nature and reality, that's a set. That's the whole thing. That's the whole shebang, right? And Gary was saying, no, that's not my question. That's not. Well, Gary wanted to say one item. What was one item ultimate? And in his stupid worldview, it is a God, which is something that he cannot even prove, right? So that's the whole shtick of his.
Why do you say dishonest though? You don't think do you think he believes what he claims to believe or not? Do you think he actually says what he means or not?
I think
I
he's actually saying something that he cannot prove, right? And he's acting dishonestly to try to push he's not even changing people. He's being argumentative by default. That means he's dishonest.
Yes, but everything
No,
he's trying to prove, he claims he can presuppose. So there is no, and that's why it's such a waste of time. Like he's presupposing the very thing that the other party is debating exists or not.
I mean, I wouldn't say dishonest is the right word for someone who believes what they believe, right? And even if it's very stupid. But I will say it is dishonest if they say they believe something, but they don't actually believe it, right? I will say is dishonest because they are actually lying or not being truthful. But I think he actually believes what he claims to believe and things the way he talks.
Hold up. So you think now? I did my stint as a Christian, didn't work out, obviously. But you think that someone that reads the Bible and all the rules and all that stuff could legitimately believe all of that in their heart and talk to people the way Darth does? Like, I don't think you could be the Christian that the Bible tells you you're supposed to be and treat people the way he does. I think
Correct.
it's impossible.
I concur.
Why not? I mean, he just has like this weird interpretation of you don't know what the interpretation he has in his brain, depending on what he reads, right? I mean, he may think that the Bible uh tells him to behave this way. Actually, I've heard him justifying his his demeanor by saying Jesus got angry with people at the temple or something like that.
But that, there is also one problem with what Darth is saying, because when somebody asked Darth, did he use his reason when he read the Bible in order to become a Christian? And Darth said yes, but based on his presupposition, Darth started with God and then goes to reason. So I think that's like flip-flopping.
I mean, so I got blindsided by Darth the first time I talked to him. I am not a professional debater. I'm not that great at it. It's not really my thing. It's exhausting to argue, I think. But then I stepped back and realized that his I mean, I fell for his script awful. So like then I realized that he was causing me to act in a manner that I did not like. And so then I tried to like be nice for a second, and that fell flat. And then one of the things that I remember from being a Christian that I kind of liked, I suppose, was, trying to tell people about the wonder of God and the beauty and like, oh my gosh, God made all these beautiful colored flowers and whatnot. And so I tried asking him, you know, hey, just tell me where you see God in your life. Tell me about your walk with God. And I got kicked out of the room. Um, it all seems suspect to me because even if, he likes to make these arguments and he likes to use his script, I would say every other Christian I have ever met in my life, even ones that, you know, are the sin on Saturday and go to church on Sunday Christians, but particularly like I knew one man that I would say walked the walk of what I understood the Bible as best he could. They're always happy to tell you their testimony. They're always happy to tell you the good things about God. And he avoids it like the plague, which makes me a bit suspect. Like, wouldn't you at some point want to tell the good stuff about your God?
I think I'm not suspicious that he believes what he believes. I think that he has a mental defect of some kind or personality disorder.
Oh,
Which
I definitely agree. Like, I
so
Yep.
yeah.
So given that, we're just giving too much oxygen to this, Darth. By the way, we have another Darth on the stage. I don't think we're talking about Dart uh, here on the stage. Anyway, I think we need really to move on. I mean, he's just really not worth my time to even, talk about his techniques and what he does or what he doesn't. So if you don't mind, we can just move on. In terms of the title of the room, A Proper Brainwash. And I gave kind of my own personal kind of way of thinking about this provocative, actually, sentence or phrase. As I mentioned, the proper has, positive connotation and brainwash has negative. You combine the two and it gives you kind of an interesting sweet and sour kind of perspective in terms of this topic, as well as what path have we taken to take us to the point that we are right now. And I gave kind of my little story about me, and then hopefully we can either talk about that or something kind of different, move on from the previous speakers.
So are we supposed to brainwash people to become atheists, or are we talking about like we are brainwashed?
So my understanding, I think what Alfonso was saying, and for those who is no longer on the stage, that they see the brainwashing, if there is such a thing, a metaphor to get to the point that you are an atheist. It's kind of a proper brainwash. So this is kind of the idea. Again, just playing with on the words, and yeah, that's kind of all my take is on it. And the way also I wanted to say that if one would think my position where I am right now really hasn't changed since I've been very young. It's a brainwash that has happened by reading a lot of books, engaging in discussions, contemplating, and perhaps debating or learning to get me to this point. If one would call that a brainwash, I happily will take that connotation. And then also one could say a proper brainwash for a religious person would be through the good books and the propagators of this way of thinking, again, mullahs, rabbis, and the priests and the scholars. And if that's the kind of a proper brainwash to be a religious kind of a believer, we could say that as well too, because certainly there is a deep brainwashing that goes on, in particularly at the early childhood. Again, I don't have to tell anyone on the stage here of what I'm talking about here. And so that's a pretty deep and brainwashing that goes on early on, depending on what type of family you're, religious wise, you've been born into. So that earliest childhood stuff are very difficult to kind of unpack and think through them and come up and arrive at a new kind of place. It might be painful for many people to do that. However, as I mentioned, I've never really been on a spiritual path, and I'm just more of a curious mind, and never was really dazzled by any kind of supernatural domains or perspectives at all. But also, the last thing I want to say, I really believe that people do believe in God and religious experiences, personal relationship with God, and I think if they would just stick to the concept, look, this is what I believe, this is my faith, and I don't need logic, science, and philosophy to get me to God, and that would be a kind of a good, is an reasonable position to take. However, the problem is, as you all know, they don't just keep it to themselves. They're not happy and they're not satisfied unless they bring somebody like me to be saved and go to heaven. So I've not been left alone. I've seen at times people preaching to me on here, the Clubhouse, and as well as in other places. So in a sense, I've been treated as a second-class citizen spiritually, and that's kind of the arrogance that I need to push back when I experience it personally. So anyway, that's my kind of thinking about the title of the room.
Do you think atheists could be brainwashed?
Yeah, as I mentioned, if you consider brainwashing is really educating yourself through books and other things,
No, no, that's not what I said.
go
Correct.
ahead.
I asked, do you think atheists could be brainwashed? I mean, could you be brainwashed to become an atheist? Not
Any
saying educating yourself or just whatever you understand by brainwashed.
Yes, absolutely. Any human being is capable of being brainwashed under the right circumstances, the right people. And people, we know that the mind is amazingly susceptible instrument. And certainly they could be brainwashed.
But I think it will be rather difficult to be brainwashed of a non-belief system, right?
Yeah, like there's like your it's weird because your belief systems require um, this like connection to reality, right? Like they require this um, unexplained. you know, intangible plug-in to observe reality. Whereas if you're an atheist, you just have the reality, and then brainwashing. What would brainwashing would be? Just say, take reality as it comes. I don't know what could be more. Don't really think there is. You know what I mean? It seems weird to, you know, that's my own problem is like plugging the supernatural into the natural. I don't have any reason to do that. There would be no idea or benefit or even reason to think to do it. I just don't see why I would invite and violate Occam's razor just to uh, accommodate a belief system.
I think
But
more the
but
title's
there
more.
are.
It's sorry, go on. My apologies. Go on.
I was just going to say that there are atheists that do assert that there is no God, and that is a belief. And so you're saying you can't brainwash somebody into a non-belief system, but you could certainly brainwash them into a belief. That's an assertion without evidence.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But I'm kind of saying that the belief that you're brainwashing them in doesn't have anything behind it. Like, right? Like, so if I'm going to brainwash someone into the belief of atheism, then that belief I'm brainwashing them is to not accept things without evidence, like God things. So it's like a funnel. Like as soon as you brainwash them into that belief, it just opens them up to be skeptical. Whereas if you brainwash someone into a belief of God, you have to brainwash them into believing the dogma.
But
Uh,
if you can
uh,
you
let me
brainwash
don't
someone
mind quickly.
to believe something that uh it say something is true, right? Can you brainwash them to believe something that is true? You don't think that's possible?
Carlos, let me, if you don't mind, adding something to what Joe was saying. The brainwashing by the religious people is very sinister, because if somebody is going to kind of brainwash you to atheism, it's different than brainwashing by kind of religious way of thinking. Think about this: the concept of hell, the concept of the original sin, guilt, all of the stuff that goes into a brain of a little child, which is completely different. As I mentioned, is sinister, is bad, is cruel, with the elements again: guilt, hell, Satan, evil, and just being plain dirty just because you're a human being, and your own sexuality and the rest of it, and the original sin. So that is a pretty much of a sinister approach. And contrast that to, I don't think you're going to be talking to any atheist that is going to put fear of anything in you. So there is a sharp contrast between the two approaches.
I mean, yeah, but that's not really the question. I mean, what if an atheist comes and said, "Hey, uh, only dumb people believe in God," thing, right? Which is not true, right? But don't you're gonna seem yourself as an educated person if you start saying things that you believe in God and so on and so forth. Just some sort of social pressure, none of your family believe in God or something like that. So you don't think that's brainwashing?
I
Yeah,
think
but
brain
again, you really, I think that we have to put these things in perspective. There's a difference between the items, the stuff that you mentioned, and burning in eternal fires of hell, and this kind of a guilt and shame feeling that you're going to have all throughout, or your life, and then your sole job is to kind of find your way to be redeemed. Yeah, there may be some aspect of reasoning for being an atheist. May have some some uncomfortable feelings that people may have, and I think I get your point. But again, I suggest that we need to contrast the two kind of persuasive methods, one being hugely sinister and bad, and
I
as I
mean, why
mentioned before, yeah.
why why is it worse saying to someone that they're going to hell than telling them they are uneducated? I mean, that's not the point, Ali, right? Not, I think that the point that I'm trying to make is that you can make arguments, you can convince people without good arguments, right? And what will I consider brainwashing would be when people don't actually hold a reason for their beliefs or what they want, right? There's not only like it is, I've met people that are like all in feminism, right? For example, or like all in like all sorts of ideas, and it's like not necessarily that they are bad ideas, but if you question them, right? People who are like, no, education is like the most important thing, is like all we need is education, education, education. Perfect. Can you tell me why? Can you explain your reason? And they cannot. Science, science, science. There's like, I've met atheists, right, that I consider be like uh very kind of radical in their ideas about science, right? They think that scientific knowledge is like some sort of more like a little bit magical too, like doing things it doesn't really do, right? And they are atheists, and I think they cannot justify their they don't have a really good reason to be atheists. It's a little bit of a dogma too when you don't reason through it.
Uh, guys, can I answer that question if it's possible?
Of
Yeah,
course.
please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Well, I think the point that Carlos was trying to make is that atheism is as dangerous as any extreme religious idea can be, and as an atheist, I myself, I'm an atheist, and I think it is exactly so because I'm not a big reader. I don't have a very good experience on reading and arguing, but based on little experiences of my own, growing up in a religious society, religious family, and contemplating and trying to understand. So all I'm saying is out of experience, and one of the great founders of modern psychology. The first one was Freud, and after that, Carl Jung. He himself was not a very extreme religious, but I think most of the people agree that he was one of the, big founders of psychology. And all of the history of psychology goes back to 100 years. So before that, we didn't know about ourselves. And during that 100 years, which is not a lot, we, try to understand ourselves. And Carl Jung's views, he says that we need God. No matter if it's Abrahamian religious God or other kind of God, if it's any form of spirituality, we need it as humans because it's a very old desire to put something as the on top of our hierarchy of values. If we lose that, we're gonna be even more dangerous than we are. So and if we look at the history just 50 years ago or 70 years ago, World War II, it was like that. The people who were attacking, they weren't so religious. And I think we have that capability to become that dogmatist, that extremist, that dangerous. I think we have that ability, we have that possibility. And as most of these sociologists are saying, is that we are again facing another collapse of values, collapse of humanity, so many things that were preventing us from doing bad things, and we are again facing that. And it's again very dangerous. The things that happened in the history just 7 years ago, 8 years ago, it can happen again. And we haven't changed that much. So thank you for listening to me. This was my idea.
I find that problematic because the idea that values come from religions, which are all competing, And all over the world, countries that tie religion to their government are shown to have worse human rights. And you have the Icelandic, Norwegian countries who are very atheist and have a great crime rate. The idea that humans without religion won't treat other humans like humans when the history of humanity suggests otherwise. I don't get that. I just don't see if you right. It's to me, religion is just another form of tribalism, and
Hmm.
tribalism always benefits the interior group to the extent that it harms the exterior group. We see this every day with religion trying to take away rights for women to say what happens with their bodies, for trying to teach stuff that doesn't compete with evolution, like all over the world. So I don't understand. Like if you have less of it, to me, you are actually having less restrictions and less requirements upon people.
Hmm. Right, right. I totally get you because I myself am an atheist and I don't believe in religious that much. But all I said, it was those were some quotations from Carl Jung, and he was a great psychologist. He actually spent all of his life studying human psyche, and he was saying, almost he was close to end of his life. In this interview, you can find it on YouTube, and he was saying, after spending all of his life on studying human psychology, he was saying that we know nothing about human psyche, and all of the evils, not religious evil, all of the bad things that are happening in the world is coming from within us, and we know nothing about it. And this is a quotation from a great psychologist. He admitted that he knew nothing about human psyche. So I think it, religious ideas are dangerous, but atheism can be as dangerous as those religious idea. Not rational atheism, but the atheism that is kind of similar to that religious, the atheism that has no argument behind it, the atheism that comes from repression, comes from suppression. Kind of my atheism, all of my life I've been traumatized by religious ideas. So I'm a person who is, who has a what was the word? Sorry, prejudice against religion, and I can feel that. So imagine millions of people like me who have great prejudice against religion, and I think those people are capable of shedding a lot of bloods, as we were shedding just 50 years ago, as Nazis, as communists. Those people were atheists.
May I ask you a question? And I'm not meaning this to try to make you uncomfortable or challenge your atheism or whatever. Um, so are you, I guess what I'm going to say is, are you an atheist or are you an anti-religion person? Because at the core, do you dislike religion or do you believe there's no God? Um, does that make sense?
Of course, of course. Well, religion has been applied politically in my country and many countries. Most of the people, I think, agree with me. Most of even religious people that religion is being used as a tool of politics. So, from that point of view, I kind of, how can I say it respectfully? I kind of, yes, don't like the religious idea because it is a very strong political tool. But on the other hand, I do like religion because it can control the dark side of human being somehow. But it has, it's a tool for politicians. So from that point of view, I kind of a little bit against religion.
But do you believe in any way, shape, or form that there is an ultimate being, a grand, like a creator? I guess we'll put it that way. Do you believe in a creator?
Well, that's a very philosophical question. I always think about it, but giving a solid answer to it, I think it's not possible. Even the scientists are not having a proper answer for it. But I can
No,
say
the
I do
scientists
believe in
have a.
human psyche, and I believe that we need something on the top of that hierarchy of value. If we yes, I think it is helpful to think that there is something, but for me, that thing is not religious, and I can say I don't know if it
Oh,
makes it clear or
it
not.
doesn't. You can believe in God and not subscribe to a religion. You can be agnostic. I mean, labels are funny because they sometimes make it hard. Um, and like I said, I mean no disrespect. Everybody can be whoever they want to be. I don't really care. I just thought it was interesting because I too believe that religion is harmful. But if someone asks me, do I believe in God? I can very quickly tell you no. I don't believe in a creator. I don't believe in this being that has any sort of effect on our life. I also really disagree with something that you said. Um, you kind of mentioned that, things are sort of getting worse in the world. Um, I don't think so. I think things are different in the world. And I think one of the things that I sort of believe is that the world hasn't changed so much as we just know more about it now. Um, with social media and with people, everybody I know has a cell phone with a camera in their hands all the time. So we see more things than we would have even 10 years ago. I mean, if I think about my phone now versus my cell phone 10 years ago, it's quite a different thing. I really don't think the world is getting worse. I think we just have more information about it available to us. But I, I try to look for the good in my fellow humans and in the world. So that could just be part of me being an optimist. Um, but yeah, I don't think the world's getting worse. I think we know more, and there's so many things that I think are getting better for at least some people that I live in the United States. I think we are moving forward in terms of people being able to be who they are, and I think that is absolutely fantastic. So that's just my little thing, though.
I hope you will be right. By all means, with every fiber of my being, I hope you will be right because your idea is more beautiful.
Hmm.
Thank you.
So
Hey, I just wanted to. I thought I heard Jans, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, speak on religious people shouldn't be either. I don't know if it was be in government, or I got the sense that it was sort of participate in government or whatnot. And that's kind of one of my big things, is that it seems like I hear this from atheists, and that is that, well, if you're religious, you shouldn't be able to participate in society, such as government, such as legislation, and to advance certain, let's say, values in legislation that one might have. The problem there is that.
but wait, so are you sure that's what you're hearing? People saying you shouldn't participate, or are they saying you shouldn't force your religion beliefs in
Correct.
the government? Those are two
Well,
different
well,
things,
Correct.
yeah.
right?
Touche.
Okay, basically, it sounds like, yeah, that, which I think is what I was going to get to. You have to be very careful here, because if I'm somebody who may not even be religious per se, I might have the same sort of value in terms of either pro-life, pro-choice, abortion. Many of the sort of issues that we're dealing with on either a more, gun control or whatever, First Amendment, and it's like, yeah, there's going to be people who aren't necessarily, in air quotes, religious, or even participating in legislation and voting one way or the other, and they coincide. I mean, they're so I'm like, you have to be careful when religious. To me, religious, if you either believe in a religion, you believe in a God or a not God, you should still be able to participate in society in sort of the duties that we do, which is, yeah, we have to go and we have to vote on legislation. We vote on representatives who have the same values or want the same things we do, agenda. And so maybe I'm mistaken here. Was it just being?
I think
If
so.
I
For
may,
example, do you believe that we should teach in schools creationism
Yeah, I think that.
in
Yeah,
a science
not
science class? Do you,
not necessarily in full detail as. I don't think they should teach evolution either. I think what they should do is teach the science and let the students, and then, yeah, there's most scientists agree that, or believe that, it's evolution. You got this view that it's more intelligent design. You have this view that it's a God creator. But we're not here to decide that. I'm just going to show
I'm
you
a
what the
Satanist. Would
science
you
is.
allow satanic after school in your school? Would you allow the satanic temple to come in and just teach their teachings too? Because we're Americans as well.
Okay, I don't see the teaching of evolution or intelligent design or the possibility that there's something that might be like a god as teaching religion or science. I mean, that might be a thing. I would probably vote against something like that. Okay, if that was up for a
But
vote,
you would
where
vote for my rights to teach satanic after school programs? Would you vote for it or against it?
if it wasn't mandatory, I would allow my child, or who, I'm going to say my child, to either to attend that or not.
But within your school district, you will allow the satanic temple to offer the program like everybody else is.
To teach theories other than evolution is not the same as
No, we teach that
teaching
Christianity is
Satan.
bullshit. That's all we teach. We teach that Christianity is bullshit.
No, I'm
I
sorry.
don't
What are you
agree with
talking
that.
about? What does that mean?
Please.
We don't teach that Christianity is bullshit. That's not what teaching
For
evolution
argument's sake,
does not
I'm
equate.
going somewhere with this argument.
yeah, he's saying the Satanic
What does he say?
Temple teaches that Christianity is bullshit, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you need to teach that evolution is bullshit. I'm saying that you need to show that there are other sort of viewpoints as to what is actually happening,
Yes.
and
There
in the
are viewpoints
interpretation on
against
some of this
Christ.
data.
There are viewpoints against Christ. Are we allowed to make it within a school district? We have
I don't
viewpoints
think you can.
that are pro-science, pro-LGBT, pro-choice. We have a lot of views that if you want to teach your God to children, we have to vaccinate them against these views by teaching them our beliefs.
I think that's kind of what I'm saying is, I mean, I don't like the fact that they teach what's I'm going to call CRT. Okay, in schools. I don't really like how they're teaching this gender and trans
What do you think about
genderism type things in
let me move a
schools,
little
and they
bit with
want to
your
do it
political views.
in pre-kindergarten,
Well,
kindergarten
but
to.
that's not a religion. That's not a. Let's stick to religion. That's a little bit more on like your
Well,
political
that's what I'm
leanings.
saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It
No,
doesn't. Some
I
of
will
these
throw a
questions aren't
stink.
just religious.
For a second, I will throw a stink bomb here, and I'll ask, what do you think about critical race theory?
Well, I believe that it is.
No. Let's stick to religion, guys. This is a
Well, he
discussion about
brought up
religion.
CRT. He
I
brought up
know he did.
CRT, and
I
this
know
is a
that he
big
did.
issue.
And I also said let's bring it back to religion, right? You were making a good point about teaching Christianity is bullshit, right? Let's stick to that. If
Carlos, how can you discuss religion without discussing the ills of religion? Are you
I'm
familiar with
not,
critical race theory?
yeah, but that what? How is that related to religion, man? That's not related to
Um,
religion.
guys, I want to keep the replays not as long. Can you keep the room above, and everyone can follow him, and I'll close this one so we can continue this conversation.
So we're moving to the new room.
Yeah, just press when
Okay.
probably he's gonna have started the other room, and everyone just click on the link above and click join.
Where?
Okay.
Got it.
Go ahead, Carlos.
Oh, I was planning on going to the other room.
What?
I think. Are you making the room, Carlos?
Are we
No,
done here?
I scheduled a room up above linked. And so that I don't want to lose the replays, or I don't want them to be too lengthy. So I was proposing that the room, and I'll like watch this one till everyone's gone, and I'll close this one.
I
So we
can't.
Also,
should start
I can't
moving
get
now.
to, I can't get to the other room.
I know Carlos has to start it.
Oh. Okay. Well, when he starts it, I'll go.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get into a whole thing about CRT, but it was just that yeah, there's a lot of things don't necessarily relate to religion that
Yeah.
I'm gonna participate in society. I'm going to not vote for something I disagree with, vote for
Well,
something
while we're
Yeah.
closing up,
should.
do you think that
Hold on. No. We've closed
racist?
up already. Click on the link above and continue the conversation, please.
Sure.
What? What? What?
Yeah, just click on the link that's pinned to the room, and then I'm gonna close this room.
Well, time to go then.
Okay. You're going.
Hey, Alfonso, do you speak Spanish?
Yes.
Okay. Saludos cordiales desde Inglaterra.
Oh, I'm also British by
Oh,
birth.
you're British by birth.
Yeah.
You're one of us then.
Yeah. So we're moving to the other room. If you don't mind, just click on the link above.
It doesn't. I've got the PC version, right? And once you press it, it goes onto the website, and then you have to say log in and all that kind of thingy.
So I'm gonna ping you in. Is that good?
Yeah, do whatever it needs, but I don't know how it's going there. But yeah, it's all good.
Well, it should appear. You can. I think you have a search option, don't you?
What's the name of the room? Oh, no, hold on. Let me see if I can see it.
Religious versus atheist brainwashing.
I'll find it. I'll find it, and I'll join there. All good. All good. Okay. Catch you later, guy.
Everyone, we're moving to the other room pinned above.
Okay. Okay. So, shall we leave it there? Shall we leave it there? It was just a test, ladies and gentlemen, to see if my bullshit program, Clubhouse, not Clubhouse, what is it called? It's called Club Deck, the PC program of Clubhouse, right? So it does work. So yeah. So I think I should leave it here. I wasn't expecting that much. My main goal was trying to talk to this idiot Gary F. Mill. Yeah, Gary fuck up Mill, and I couldn't. Fine, whatever. The only thing I managed to say to him that he was wrong, and he got. We won a dumpster fire. You can't. Right, but anyway. Oh, Jesus, here comes again the rebuke and reproof. Sydney, like most atheists, avoid Christians. Listen, what part of me joining to get hold of that idiot Darth Dawkins did you not get? Right? He ran away. The bitch ran away. Yeah, he ran away because he did not have more powers. As simple as that. And then I found out about somebody else in my room, not in my room, in my chat, saying that this bitch ran away to a Christian room and start fucking giving it all the mouth. That's how fucking clever he is. How much of a fucking man, so much cojones this guy's got. Yeah, but anyway, that's my interpretation. The bitch ran away, simple. Yeah, he could not hold his fucking liquor and run away like a coward, like he always does. But anyway, I'll end it here, and I thank you everybody, and I will go definitely to Sydney Wisdom's channel via Discord, and I will end this stream, right? Because it was only as a test purposes. I want to get my shit right. Then the next weekend, see if I can get him. To cite your to whom? No, I've done fuck all, my man. Seriously, I haven't. The only thing I've done is stream. I could not even fucking interrupt properly. Yeah, I did not actually want to have a conversation with the room per se, right? But to actually confront this idiot. But it seems that I cannot do that for some fucking reason. Yeah. I hope I'm not a threat to him. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. And I will be closing this stream. This is a shitty stream. And I'm going to go see my mate, Sydney Wisdom. Yeah. So catch you all later and have a nice one. Oh, fuck me. My time will come. Trust me. Yes, it will. Yes, I will. I'm gonna get that bitch. And it ain't gonna be nice. Ladies and gentlemen, see you later. Have a nice one.